Sharing may be caring, but a true Stoic knows that some things are better left unsaid in a world obsessed with oversharing. Here's why: keeping these 10 secrets won't just protect your peace, but will also make you dangerously untouchable. We live in a culture that celebrates oversharing. From social media to coffee shop conversations, we're constantly encouraged to bare our hearts and reveal our every thought. But what if it told you that this constant transparency is not only unnecessary, but a threat to peace, strength, and progress? I learned this the hard way many years ago. I believe that honesty and openness are the keys to building relationships. I will share my deepest fears with my friends, my wildest dreams with my colleagues, and my political views with anyone who will listen. Results: fear was used against me. My dreams were trampled by others. My doubts and opinions caused unnecessary conflicts. I began to realize that not everyone deserves to know your inner world. Stoicism teaches us to protect our inner selves like a fortress. Sharing too much, giving others a blueprint of your weaknesses, the key to your emotions, and the power to manipulate your reality. It's time to adopt a more radical approach: silence. In this scenario, I will guide you through 10 things a true Stoic should never share. No matter how much society pressures you, these points may offend some, but if you value your strength and serenity, you will see why keeping these secrets is not only wise, it is necessary. One of your deepest fears. We all have those dark fears and insecure thoughts that creep in at times of weakness, but the truth is, noon tells you that our deepest fears are your own to overcome. They are a reflection of your own internal battles, not something to give to others. When you share your fears, you are essentially giving others a weapon against you. Even people with the best intentions can't help but see you differently. When they know what scares you, they can start treating you with pity, or worse, use those fears to gain the upper hand in subtle ways. For example, if you express your fear of failure, someone may push you into making decisions you are not ready for. Knowing that you will hesitate to take risks, they may even undermine your confidence, feeding that fear until it grows into something even more destructive. Moreover, fear is a private battlefield. It is a part of your psyche that you need to face and overcome in your own way. When you externalize it by sharing, you are looking for validation or comfort, an understandable but ultimately harmful crutch. This action, seeking reassurance, only weakens your inner resolve, making the fear seem bigger and harder to overcome. Then truly is. Consider this. If Marcus Aurelius had openly shared his fear of death or failure with those around him, would he have been the red philosopher emperor we remember today? Perhaps his strength lay in his ability to face these fears, internally use them as fuel for self-mastery, rather than letting them define or control him. In a world that often tells you to speak out or share your burdens, a Stoic take the opposite approach. Keep your fears close. The fire burning inside you that drives you forward but never takes you out of control. Use them as a source of strength rather than a topic of conversation. Keep your fears quiet and let the world see only your courage, your two deepest desires, your desire to be the silent architect. The silence of our actions guides us towards what we believe will bring us happiness or fulfillment. But the moment you share your deepest desires, you giving up control over them, exposing yourself to the whims of others and the unpredictability of the world. I learned this lesson the hard way a few years ago. I had a burning desire to start my own business, a dream that had been quietly brewing inside me for years of excitement. I started sharing this ambition with friends and colleagues, hoping for encouragement and support. Instead, I was met with a wave of doubt and unwanted advice. Some questioned my ability to handle risk, while others subtly hinted that my idea was not unique enough to succeed. Their skepticism planted seeds of doubt in my mind, and what started as a clear, focused ambition became tainted by uncertainty. Their comments, although well-intentioned, weighed on me more than I anticipated. I found myself doubting every decision, worried that they might be right. The pure drive that once drove my desires was diluted by fear of failure and the need for external validation. The more I talked about my dreams, the less they felt like my own. I began to realize that by sharing my desires, I was allowing others to shape it, turning what should have been a personal thing, the journey, into something that was no longer entirely mine. Desires that are inherently personal reflect your deepest needs and desires. And you share them, you are not only opening yourself up to being judged, but also to being manipulated. I have seen this happen when you confide in someone about your desires. They may not only question you, but also subtly try to lead you into their vision of success, rather than yours. This can lead to a situation where you are no longer pursuing your true desires, but instead chasing what you think will please others, different or meet society's expectations for. But the lesson is clear: desires should be protected like a treasure. They remain a silent force that drives you forward, untainted by the opinions and influences of others. By not sharing them, You avoid the trap of becoming too attached to their satisfaction and protect yourself from disappointment when desires are thwarted by external circumstances. In a world that encourages us to broadcast our goals and ambitions, I have learned to walk a different path. I now let my actions speak for themselves, my ambition, keeping my desires private. This approach not only protects my dreams but also keeps the authenticity of my journey, allowing me to pursue what is truly important to me without the noise of outside opinions. Your three inner struggles are a common part of the human experience. The silent battles we fight within ourselves, often in the middle of the night or in moments of solitude. These struggles can involve doubting our worth, the fear of failure, or the constant pressure to meet expectations. However, share these struggles with others can often do more harm than good, reducing the strength you need to overcome them. I used to believe that opening up about my inner struggles was a sign of strength, a way to connect with others. In support, I would vent to friends about the challenges I was facing. Whether it was stress from work, feeling inadequate, or pressure to live up to certain expectations while feeling relieved in the moment, I quickly realized that sharing my struggles didn't bring the relief I expected. Instead, it often left me feeling heavier, as if I had transferred my inner turmoil onto those around me without actually resolving it. What I realized was that my struggles were my own. I had to deal with them myself by talking them out. I was looking for validation or comfort, something external, to ease my inner conflict. But this approach only diluted my resolve, making my challenges seem difficult to overcome rather than confront the problem. I myself have become dependent on the reassurance of others, which often makes me feel even more helpless. Internal struggles are very personal issues, and while it may seem like sharing them will help lighten the load, it often has the opposite effect. When you reveal your internal struggles to others, you risk being seen through the lens of your struggles rather than your strengths. Even people with good intentions may begin to see you as weaker or less capable, subtly changing the dynamics of your relationships. Some people may take advantage of you. This knowledge uses your struggles as leverage in moments of conflict or competition. Further, sharing your inner struggles can create an unhealthy, vicious cycle of venting without taking action. It is easy to fall into the trap of discussing your problems endlessly without actually moving towards a solutions. Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes from within, from the ability to face our challenges quietly and with dignity. By keeping your struggles to yourself, you will retain the mental strength needed to face them directly without being distracted by outside opinions or empathy. For example, the Stoic philosopher Seneca, who endured great personal trials including exile and political conspiracy, despite facing immense pressure, he kept his inner battles largely to himself, instead focusing on cultivating inner strength and wisdom. His resilience came not from sharing his struggles with others, but from facing them head-on, learning from them, and coming out stronger on the other side. I have now adopted a more stoic approach. Rather than venting or seeking validation, I channel my energy into understanding and working through my inner conflicts in my own way. This does not mean completely excluding others, but rather recognizing that some battles must be fought internally. By keeping my struggles private, I find myself more in control and clear-headed, allowing me to become stronger and more self-sufficient in a world that often equates weakness with strength. It's controversial to say that some things should be kept private, but if you value inner peace and personal growth, you'll find that facing your struggles in silence is not only empowering, it's necessary. Your wealth is a complex subject, a symbol of success in many cultures, but also a potential source of conflict and misunderstanding. As soon as you start openly discussing your finances, whether you are well off or struggling, you will encounter a myriad of issues that can disrupt your peace and relationships. There was a time when I thought sharing details about my financial achievements was harmless. I would often casually mention a profitable investment increase or a new purchase, thinking it would inspire others or simply start a conversation. However, I quickly realized that talking about money can have unintended consequences. Friends who used to celebrate my success began to react differently. Some whispered envy, others with condescending advice, and others were outraged. What it thought was a harmless sharing turned out to be a source of stress and discomfort. Discussing wealth openly creates the seeds of jealousy and judgment. Even among close friends who know details about someone's finances can evoke feelings of powerlessness or competition. It's human nature to compare yourself to others, and wealth is one of the most tangible yet deeply personal metrics people use to measure success. When you reveal your financial situation, you are inadvertently enabling others to feel superior or inferior to you, neither of which fosters real connection or peace of mind. Further, wealth can attract unwanted attention and expectations. If people know you have money, they may start to see you as our source, expect you to pay the bill at dinner, lend money, or contribute more than your fair share to group activities. This can strain relationships and put you in a awkward positions. Conversely, if you're struggling financially and share that information, you may find yourself the subject of pity or unwanted advice, may just as demoralizing. Wealth is also a sensitive subject as it taps into deeper issues of security and identity. In Stoic philosophy, material wealth is seen as unimportant, neither good nor bad in itself, but only as valuable as how we use it. The more you discuss your wealth, the more likely you are to attach self-worth to it. If you are proud of your financial achievements, sharing them can subtly reinforce the idea that your worth is tied to your bank balance. On the flip side, if you are struggling financially, difficulty in openly discussing this can increase feelings of helplessness and stress. Consider the example of Marcus Aurelius, one of the richest and most powerful men of his time, who wrote about the impermanence of material wealth. Although he had a huge fortune, he emphasized the importance of inner virtues over outer wealth. His Stoic wisdom teaches us that health is useful but should never define us or become the focus of our conversations and relationships. Through personal experience, I have learned to maintain a private financial understanding that wealth is a tool rather than a subject by not discussing it openly. I have maintained healthier relationships and avoid the pitfalls of jealousy, judgment, and exploitation. It has allowed me to focus on what is truly important, develop my character, cultivate meaningful relationships, and find fulfillment beyond material success. In a society that often values wealth, choosing not to share your financial status may seem countercultural, even controversial, but if you value the peace and authenticity of your relationships, so you will find that keeping your assets private is not only wise, but also liberating. Let your assets, your financial achievements or struggles be your own, and let your true wealth be measured by the quality of your thoughts, actions, and relationships, not the size of your bank account. 5 failures in the past. We all have failures moments in life. Don't go according to plan when we don't meet our own or others' expectations. Society often tells us that sharing our failures is an empowering way to show vulnerability and build relationships. But a Stoic perspective challenges this notion that your past failures are best kept private, where they can serve as personal lessons rather than public spectacle. I used to believe in the value of sharing my past failures, thinking it would make me likable, even admirable. I talk about the work I do, didn't get the job, the project failed, or the relationship ended badly, hoping to inspire others by showing them that I had recovered. But I quickly realized that not everyone responds to these stories with empathy or encouragement. Some people, instead of seeing the resilience I achieved, focus on the failure itself. They subtly change their perception of me. Sharing your failures, and this can easily lead them to define you. When you recount a failure, you may think you are highlighting the journey you have come, but others may only see the setbacks, mistakes, or weaknesses. They may start to associate you more with your failures than your successes, diminishing your achievements in their eyes. Even worse, in a competitive environment, revealing your past mistakes can be used against you as a way to undermine your credibility or to overshadow you. Additionally, when comparing, discussing past failures can keep you stuck in the past, making it harder to move forward. Every time you retell the story of a failure, you are reliving it, reinforcing its presence in your mind, which can prevent you from fully letting go and embracing the lessons learned. Stoicism teaches us to accept the past as unchangeable and focus on what we can control in the present. Future actions and intentions. By constantly revisiting your failures, you risk becoming obsessed with what went wrong, instead of how you could do better. Now, another risk of sharing your failures is the possibility of being pitied when you might have hoped to be understood. or encouraged others may instead be sympathetic despite good intentions, may feel belittled, being taken advantage of, for your past mistakes can erode your self-esteem and make you feel less capable than you really are. This can also create an implicit dynamic that makes you seen as someone who needs to be treated with care, rather than the strong, resilient person you have become. Consider the epic Stoic philosopher Thetis, who endured slavery and hardship but rarely spoke of his suffering. Instead, reflecting on his past misfortunes, he focused on the wisdom he had gained and how it shaped his present and future. He understood that his worth was not tied to what he had endured, but to how he responded to it. His silence about past failures was not to hide them, but to deny let them define him. From my own experience, I learned that keeping my past failures private allowed me to move forward more freely, rather than letting those failures become part of my public narrative. I chose to absorb the lessons and apply them quietly to my life. This approach not only protected my dignity, but also allowed me to rebuild my confidence without the burden of other people's perceptions weighing me down in a world that often celebrates sharing every aspect of our lives. Choosing to keep your past private, failing yourself, may seem counterintuitive, even controversial, but if I value your growth and want to be defined by present actions and future potential instead of past mistakes, you will find that silence is power. Let past failures be yours. You alone turn them into personal wisdom that guides you forward without the need for public validation or sympathy. Your 6 political beliefs. Political beliefs are deeply personal, often shaped by our upbringing, experiences, and values. In today's polarized world, where every opinion seems to be scrutinized and debated, sharing your political beliefs can lead to unnecessary conflict, alienation, and even loss of personal peace. The Stoic approach would argue that your political beliefs, like many other deeply held beliefs, are best kept private. While it believed that discussing politics openly was a way to engage in meaningful dialogue and contribute to positive change, I would engage in debate, sharing my views on social media and trying to convince others of my views, but it quickly learned that these conversations often spiraled into arguments that damaged relationships and creates tension rather than fosters understanding. Friends who once considered me kindred spirit begin to distance themselves from mean acquaintances I barely know feel entitled to challenge my beliefs, sometimes aggressively. The problem with sharing your political beliefs is that it often causes conflict rather than resolution. Politics is by its very nature divisive, touches on the core values that people hold dear. When you express your political views, you are not just sharing a view, you are revealing a part of your identity that others may strongly disagree with. This can lead to heated debates, strained relationships, and even permanent rifts. People can start defining you by your political stance rather than your personality, reducing the complexity of who you are. 2. A single aspect of your beliefs. Furthermore, openly discussing politics can lead to a loss of peace of mind. Engaging in political debates, especially in dry times as it is today, can be emotionally draining and mentally draining, as constantly having to defend your position and the inevitable encounters with hostility can affect your health. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our actions, thoughts, and emotions. By keeping your political beliefs to yourself, you protect yourself from the chaos that often accompanies political discourse, allowing you to maintain inner calm and focus on personal growth. Another risk of sharing your political beliefs is the possibility of being judged and excluded in many social and professional contexts. Politics can be a mindset. Expressing your views can lead to being stereotyped by others. Assumptions about your personality, intelligence, or intentions based solely on your political stance. This can limit opportunities, straining professional relationships, and even leading to discrimination or backlash within environments where your views are in the minority. Even when direct personal relationships, political differences can create tension. I have seen even family relationships are strained or broken because of political disagreements. People who used to get along find themselves at odds, unable to reconcile their differing views. By keeping your political beliefs to yourself, you avoid these conflicts. Allow your relationships to be defined by shared experiences, mutual respect, and common interests, rather than divisive politics. Consider the example of Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher emperor who navigated the complex and often arduous political landscape of ancient Rome, despite his immense power and political responsibilities. Marcus focused on universal principles such as justice, wisdom, and duty, rather than getting caught up in the partisan conflicts of his time. His meditations reveal a man more concerned with personal virtue and inner peace than the political battles raging around him. Understood that true influence comes not from public statements, but from the quiet power of living by one's principles. Through my own experiences, I have learned the value of keeping my political beliefs private rather than engaging in divisive debates. I focus on living my values and making a positive impact in ways that go beyond politics. This does not mean I'm apathetic or unengaged. It means I choose to direct my energy into actions that are consistent with my beliefs, without getting caught up in the conflict and noise that often accompanies political discussions in a world where politics can be unavoidable. Choosing to keep your political beliefs to yourself may seem controversial and countercultural, but if you value peace, relationships, and personal growth, you will find that silence can be a powerful tool in your actions. Reflect your values, and let your political beliefs remain a private compass that guides you through the complexities of life rather than a public banner that invites conflict and judgment. Your 7 future plans. Future plans are often the blueprint for our aspirations, our hopes, dreams, and goals. Set for the road ahead, it can be tempting to share these plans with others, whether to seek encouragement, advice, or simply to show excitement. However, revealing your future plans can do more harm than good. The Stoic view is that keeping your plans secret allows you to maintain focused control and freedom without the burden of outside expectations or interference. I used to be someone who was eager to share my future plans with friends, family, and colleagues. Whether it was a career change, a personal project, or even travel plans, I would talk about my intentions enthusiastically and expect support and positive reinforcement. But over time, I noticed something was off. The more I shared, the more I felt pressured by other people's expectations. If I changing my mind or encountering obstacles, disappointment, or questioning from those I confided in would add unnecessary burden to the challenges I was facing. Sharing my future plans, you can create an environment of external pressure. Once you have told others about your goals, you may feel compelled to achieve them, not only for yourself, but also to meet the expectations you have set in their minds. This can lead to a sense of obligation, where your plans have less to do with what you really want and more to do with avoiding embarrassment or judgment that may come from not following through. The excitement of pursuing your dreams can be dampened by the anxiety of living up to what you have publicly committed to through personal experience. I have learned the power of silence when it comes to future plans. Now, instead of sharing my goals with everyone, I focus on quietly working towards them. I find that this approach not only protects my motivation, but also gives me the freedom to change direction without the burden of external expectations. If a plan doesn't work, I can adapt and move on without the added pressure of having to explain yourself to their in a culture that often values transparency and openness. Choosing to keep your future plans secret may seem counterintuitive, even controversial, but if you value your focused autonomy and peace of mind, you will find that there is great power in silence. Let your actions speak for themselves and allow your plans to unfold quietly, free from the scrutiny and influence of others. Your future is yours to shape. Keep it that way by guarding your plans until they become reality. In a world that pushes us to share everything, silence can bear radical, even powerful choice. Keep certain aspects of your life private: your fears, desires, struggles, wealth, failure, political beliefs, and future plans. Protect your peace and maintain your autonomy. Silence is not withdrawal or isolation, but maintaining control of the story, your story, and stay true to your inner compass. By choosing what to share and what keep private, you take back your power. Avoid the distractions and pressures that come with public exposure. This quiet confidence allows you to live authentically, unaffected by the judgment or expectations of others. Embrace the power of silence and let it guide you as you navigate life your own way.